Hello, everybody. Well, we're back again. It's been a while. Haven't had nothing to really talk about. It's cold, messy out there. But I want to talk about policemen. I think we're about to lose people, police officers, to defend us or be around for us. Uh, I think they're going to be just coming up and looking after the fact, after we've been robbed, after we've been murdered, after our car's been stolen. Uh, I think policemen are going to become less and less proactive or willing to interfere in a active problem. Okay. The 5 Memphis policemen that have been arrested, charged with murder on this black man. I've seen some of the video. I've heard of other people talk about the video. I don't know nothing about it. It is a crying shame that this man was killed. He's not a young man. He's 29, I think. The only reason cities are not burning and riots in the street and everybody on every liberal news media is talking about this is because these were black officers. This was a black on black crime. Now, I have heard, don't know much about it at this point on this date, that they have suspended a white officer. I don't know why. I've also heard that they're looking at some firemen who were there and some police sheriff's officers that were going to be fired or suspended. Now, in Memphis, this is a black police chief, female. These were all 5 black officers. If the best I can find out, they've only been on the force about 2 years, so they haven't been there very long. They were put together for a special force called the Scorpions, I believe, and their job was to go up and work in heavily crime areas because the community, the black community, had asked for it. So they went out and were doing it. Other than that, I don't know anything else about it, and since I don't know nothing about it, I'm not going to speak too much about it. My thoughts are, or sad thoughts are, policemen are becoming so gun shy that I feel like that in time, in some parts of the United States, that policemen are not going to be seen and they're not going to come out and do anything. Apparently in Chicago and New York and some of the other cities, until you commit a crime or have killed somebody, then they show up. But they're not going to they don't want to do the high-speed chase anymore because people get hurt in them. They don't chase people on motorcycles at all in some parts of the country. They just let them go. Some parts of the country are getting where if they're in a high-speed chase of a vehicle, if the vehicle is just running from them, they will not chase them down because they don't want to cause an accident and be sued. Officers can be sued very simply now for almost anything, and cities are scared to death of it. Now, I live in what we call a bedroom community. Most of the people don't work in here. They work in one of the big cities to the south of us. Our population is growing rapid. They're building houses out here. I think they told us that there was going to be over 1,000 plus homes in the city limits of my town. It is a very small city limits. Outside of that city limits, the growth is growing the same. See, we are sandwiched in between 2 cities. One to the south of us, one to the north of us. we're boxed in. Our city limits cannot grow any larger. We are expanded as far as we can, and that's it. So if anything happens, our small police force, which at one time was only 6 officers, I believe is down around 4 right now, and that includes the police chief, because they cannot afford them. When you have a police officer, and when I was directly involved with them, they were only making $15,000 a year. And that's been 20 some odd years, and the last I heard they were around 25,000 a year for a police officer. Now, you have to buy a uniform, your gun, all of your equipment, go to schools, and pray that you don't get that one jackass that wants to resist you. You hurt them trying to hold them down, and then they sue you and the police department, and you're financially ruined forever, and it ain't worth it. Cities won't fight because they don't want to. They just can't do it. Now, the city to the north of us, I think their force is down about 25 patrolmen or officers. The force to the north of us, about the same, maybe a little more. The sheriff's department, which covers all the area, their police force is way down. And from just listening to some of them talk, when you can find one of them, they are just flat said, look, we're not going to risk our lives, because you never know when you might get that one person that is drunk, high, that puts up a resistance, and then while you're trying to hold them down, put cuffs on them, they die. And then they accuse you of murder, and you get indicted, you go to trial, you go to prison, you don't go to prison. It just ain't worth it. So I look for the day that if a police officer is not going to try to stop anyway, especially if you're a minority. If you're a black, they're not going to do nothing. I'm sorry. They're going to walk up to your car, and if you're screaming, yelling, they're going to say, okay, bye, and walk back and let you go and let you kill somebody or hurt somebody down the line, or just be that person that nobody can stop you from doing anything. You can start walking into stores and stealing anything you want to. We have not had that problem out here yet because of the community we're in. We are probably 90% white, 5% black, and 5% Hispanic. Now, since they're coming across a border like fire ants, the one reason they don't settle in this area, we don't have the freebies for them. We are not going to put them up in motels and hotels and give them money every day to live off of. So they don't settle here. They're going to the big cities like Atlanta, New York, Dallas, Memphis, where the money's at. That's where the money's at. But my fear is, and all of you, think about this. See if you can see some of my logic is wrong or right. I feel like that in time, we're going to have officers sitting at the police station or driving around. Unless you just flat do something really bad, they're not going to stop you. Because drugs coming across the border, coming this way, we have people who are just nuts. We haven't hit that in this area, but they are going to the other parts of the country. Well, there were some black Spanish people in Mexico that were complaining that they weren't getting enough, and they were giving them a $500 a month spending money, or $1,000 a month, and they were furnishing them a motel room, they were furnishing them food, but they were not happy that somebody wasn't there bowing down, kissing them butt. And I watch, On Patrol Live, other cop shows. I watch Cold Blue and all the rest of them. And I tell you what, you get a young girl or a guy that is pissed off, it takes, you really have to, it's hard to hold them down. It's hard to fight them. I used to go to medical health center where they handled um, out of control children who couldn't go to school, so they sent them to this place. And they would take 4 or 5 people to hold a child, 10, 11-year-old kid down, because when they go bat crazy and they're throwing things, I was getting back out of the way, and these people working at the health center was trying to calm the kid down the best they could. They had called police in there, and the police were very resistant, and this was years ago. They did not want to get into it because they knew you could end up hurting that young kid just trying to control him. So I personally believe, I'm not going to be here to see it. Maybe somebody will see this video one day and think he was right. But you're not going to have policemen to come help you anymore. They're just not going to risk their careers, their lives, trying to protect people or stop people from hurting other people. 61 police officers were killed in 2022. In the same year, 17 black people were killed by police. And over half of them, according to the FBI, the persons had guns and were using them, and that's the reason the police officer, they were shot and killed. In other cases, there was a kidnapping. One woman was right here in our area was about to stab another black woman, and the officer shot the woman. And it was, oh man, you're a racist. Well, the girl that was fixing to get stabbed by this big old knife is alive today. The other girl was just mad. But look at what happens in Subway. Look at Chicago. They're killing each other all the time. There's parts of California you better not be in, because you're probably not going to get out of there with your car or your life. So, I'm sorry. This nation is screwed. We're being flooded by drugs. We have a government that has their head up their asses. And it's a shame that all this is happening right now to this country. So, I'm sorry. If you're 19, 20 years old, 25 years old, you're screwed, kid. You're going to end up having to live in a gated community with guards because there's no policeman going to come to your help. So, anyway, God bless all of you. I just wanted to bring this up. So, hey, have a good one.